Hi, thanks for coming back to my channel. Today I'm starting a new project and it's the second of my seasonal celebration wall hangings. Last time I made a wall hanging for Valentine's Day called Lovebirds, and today I'm looking at doing a spring Easter wall hanging, and I'm going to use some old vintage embroideries and do some fabric collage and probably adding some of my own stitches to it as well. So I wanted to look at having a base, and this is actually a new napkin that I got from Primark, and they've got some cross stitch details on it. It's a little bunny, and it was a pack of two, and it's also got one that's a little duck. I thought they were really quite cute. So I'm going to use the one with the bunny as the background. It's got a nice cross-stitch border all the way around it, so I thought that might look quite pretty. But I'm going to fabric collage with pieces from my stash. So I found this, I think it's a table runner because it's got it on both ends, and it's daffodils and hyacinths. So I'm going to fussy cut, which means cutting around the different elements of the design, and I'm going to applique them, slow stitch them down onto this base. I've also got this, I think it's a vintage napkin that's handmade. It's hand sewn because you can tell by the back with the stitching, and it's got some trapunto work. Trapunto is sort of an applique, but what they've done is they've padded out the flowers to give a 3D effect. I don't know if you can see that. I might zoom in a little bit. There we go. You can see the different hand stitches, so I might fussy cut that out as well to include. I've enjoyed going through my stash to see what embroideries I could incorporate. So there's lots of hand stitched embroideries, and this is also a old handkerchief with some flowers on it, and I've got some more tray cloths with some embroideries. So I'm just going to do some fussy cutting and then layer up the picture. I've got this beautiful one. I don't think I want to cut this out, so I might use this for another project. It's got a lovely cottage and some trees, but you can mix it with sort of big floral prints. Found this one here, upside down, with some tulips and some nice spring flowers on it. So I'm going to fussy cut that. I'm not too worried about scale. It's going to have different scales in it. There's even got a part of a crinoline lady picture, so I thought I could cut that and she could feature in the garden. Yeah, so this wall hanging is going to be a spring garden. So I'm going to add lots of flowers and different elements. I've got this, I got a little panel, part of a panel I picked up in a second-hand shop, but it's got lots of spring elements on it. As you can see, it's got some bunny pictures and some ducks, a bird's nest and a lamb, some pretty flowers. So I thought I'd cut out these elements as well and include these. So that's what I'm going to do off camera, is go through all my fabric and cut all the little bits of elements out, and then I'll come back and film how I start laying them up, how to stitch them down and add some details to it, because you could add some stitching on the flowers. So yeah, so that's my plan, to just make a seasonal wall hanging of a spring garden. So thank you for watching, and come back when we've cut all the parts out. Thank you. Okay, so what I've been doing is cutting out the elements that I want to include on the wall hanging, and I've layered them up so you can see. Excuse my doggy in the background. So what I've done is I've fussy cut the rabbit out of the sample that I had, and I've put it down on the background, but what I've overlapped the border. This was the piece with the daffodils and the hyacinth, so I fussy cut all around there, and I've overlapped the border there. So it's just layering the pieces. That's that little bit of tramputo work, so I've cut that out and put it here. And some of the floral backgrounds. I've included is it a duck or a goose? Maybe it's a goose. And this part here was attached to the daffodils, but I cut it out to look like a little bit of a fence. So I put that there, included the butterfly pieces. And this was on I think it was a machine embroidered doily. I liked it, so I cut that around and added that on. And this was on the original napkin, the cross-stitch bunny, so I've just put some leaves around the bunny and a bit more of the machine embroidered flowers. Cut out a daffodil, it might be a daffodil, from another piece of fabric. This was off the vintage handkerchief, so I just cut the circle out, popped that one there, then I found some tree fabric, and then I've popped the nest on top. It's different leaves, but it's all about collage, so it doesn't matter that it's not exactly the same. And I didn't want a straight edge, so I've cut a bit of a rounded edge there. And then I've just written out the words "A Springtime Garden," which I will embroider on top of. And I'm going to add some detail to it with some hand stitching. I'll probably add some grass and sort of fill in the gaps and highlight some of the flowers. But this is the base, and I think it looks quite cute. So I will do some stitching off camera and come back when it's complete, but that gives you an idea of what the wall hanging will be. I just think it's important to overlap the borders and just finishes it off, I think, nice. Not some blunt edges. So yeah, that's what I'm going to work on now. Thank you. Okay, well, I've been doing some stitching off camera. I've changed it up a little bit. So I've put a bird up here, which I found on an old tea towel, so I've cut that out. And I've stitched all the elements down. I used a peach thread because I didn't want it to sort of fade into the background too much. I wanted to show that these are various elements from old embroideries. So I didn't want to make it invisible, so I've stitched around there. I've added a little butterfly, and then what I've done is I've give some detail. So the little bunny, I've added some whiskers, and I've just stitched a vein on all the leaves just to give it a bit of dimension, a bit of quilting feel to it. I've gone in the dark areas of the ears with a brown thread. The original daffodil stems, there was only one that was sewn in, so I've added some more. So I've filled in some of them. I've kept some plain, but I've filled in a number of the stems. And then I've done some French knots for the hyacinth buds. I haven't done it on every one, just picked out some of the buds. I've done some lazy daisy stitches for the petals on the white flowers. What else have I done? I outlined the butterfly just to make it stand out a little bit more. So I just enjoyed fussy cutting different parts of fabric. I found this one with some daffodils and bluebells. So the bluebells I've just stitched with a straight stitch. And I've done the stems. And I've added some more stems here for the daffodils. I've just used a straight stitch there. So it's very beginner friendly. Basically I've done a straight stitch and a few French knots and some lazy daisies. I've done it on the goose to make it look like feathers. Just done some stitches there. But I've enjoyed just placing the elements, seeing if it works, and changed it in my mind a few times. I had a big yellow flower originally. I didn't think it looked balanced enough, so I took that off. And then I replaced it with some pink roses, and I thought, no, roses are too much for a summer, and I wanted it to be spring, so I found these daffodils. So that was good. So you just have to play around with it, really. And then what I've done on these flowers, I've just done a bit of thread painting in the lighter blue areas. And I'm going to probably do some French knots in the centre. So I might just do that now on camera. And then the next thing you need to do is put a backing on it. So some of your fabric, normal fabric. I've got quilting fabric, lots of that. So I'm going to put some fabric on the back. And then I've had a search through my grandmother's old button tin. And I've chosen, had a good look. I wanted some blue ones. And they didn't have too many that were matching. So I'm going to settle for these. I liked this one, but I only got one. And what I would do is I will sew this on the top of the corners and tie some ribbon so that I can attach it to my hanger. So this will be a wall hanging, but I will finish that off once I've done the back. That's sort of the last element, but it was nice looking through my grandmother's button tin. So I'm just going to do a little bit of finish these flowers here with the thread, with the light blue.